Welcome back, PetaPixel viewers. It is Chris Niccolls here, and I've got a brand new Sigma 28105 f2.8 DGDN to show you here today. Let's get to it. Hey, I want to take a quick moment to talk to you guys about Cage.com. I mean, we love their pre-owned services where you can trade up your gear. If you have something you're not using anymore, sell it. You know you're going to get a fair price. Trade up for something that's new to you or even brand new equipment. And that's what I really want to focus on today. Cage's gear experts aren't just there to help you out with your used purchase, making sure you get a fair price. They're also there to help you out with new gear. Cage sells way more than just used camera equipment. You've got new digital camera gear, you've got film, lighting, filters. I mean, so much stuff is available there. You should definitely check it out. And if you're looking for accessories for your existing camera gear, maybe you need a brand new camera bag or memory cards, batteries, and power solutions, Cage.com sells that as well. So if you're looking for new gear, definitely check them out. If you're looking for used gear, maybe to trade in, get something new to you, or just get a good price for existing camera stuff, they're the best place to go. That's why Cage.com is PetaPixel's official pre-owned gear partner. Now, before we get to the lens, I just want to explain to you why we're coming from the podcasting space this week. Well, Jordan's had a bit of an unfortunate accident. So over the weekend, he was helping out some friends at a wedding to get some beautiful stuff. And you know, the consummate professional that he is, he wanted to get some reflected light for golden hour, the last of the day. So he sprinted across a field full of gopher holes. You can imagine what happened. He's okay, but he sprained his ankle very, very badly, and he cannot be on his feet for a few days. So I'm shooting myself here today for this review. But here's the real star of the show. So the 28105 f2.8. This is the latest in Sigma's art series of lenses. You know, on the market, there's a lot of 24 to 70 f2.8s, and there's a lot of 24 to 105 f4s, you know, trying to get more range, but giving up a little bit of light. But recently, manufacturers are trying to give both. So, you know, Canon have something like the 24 to 105 f2.8, a beautiful lens, but a very expensive and very heavy lens. 24 to 105s are fantastic. I love the versatility, but sometimes you want something brighter than the f4. So now Sigma's giving us this. The 28105 gives a little bit up in the wide angle focal length range, but it does get at that f2.8 aperture. Okay, so let's start off with handling on this lens. We'll start at the top and work our way down. We've got these nice Art Series push button lens hoods. They release and click in place really nicely. 82mm filter threads there on the front. You know, Sigma doing a really nice job with their manual focus rings. They're smooth. We've got two customizable buttons here right next to the zoom ring. And we've got a nice aperture ring here, which can be set both for click stops or declickable action for smooth work in video. Because this is an Art Series lens, of course, it is fully weather sealed and beautifully built. But what surprises me most about this lens is even though we're getting the extended range and the f2.8 aperture, this actually isn't that bulky and it's not that heavy. Just shy of 1 kilogram, okay, half a knocked in weight for a lens like this. That's actually pretty impressive, and it's very easy to carry around all day. Now, as sad as Jordan's accident is, we actually did have something very fortuitous happen. We both were able to have quite a bit of time with this lens separately to actually get a lot of samples on it. So Jordan did take this, as I say, to go help out and shoot this wedding. And the autofocus performance on this lens is actually very snappy for event work like that, which is a really possible use case for a lens like this. I have no issues using this lens in quick situations like event work, sports, and action. Jordan and I were both also fortunate enough to get shoot under bright sunny days, which is always good for flare tests. Sigma coatings always do a great job. You can see here this lens is no exception. It's handling bright light very well. We're not getting a lot of loss of contrast at all. You do notice though some purple ghosting when stopping down the lens. Absolutely. Sunstars as well we tested. They're kind of average. I mean, they're not amazing by any stretch, but you can get some visual interest with them here. But yeah, overall, this lens does handle shooting in sunny conditions quite well. Now, one of the main strengths of a lens like this is just how versatile it is, how you can use it for many situations, from landscape to portraiture, still get that bright aperture, but also Sigma's given you a really good macro capability here for close-up. So you get 40 centimeters of working distance. Even with the lens fully extended from the sensor plane, you have a little bit of room to play with. This does its best macro at the 105 millimeter range. I do like the look of that, more of a flatter, compressed look for macro personally, and it gets us just over 1 to 3 life-size reproduction, which is actually quite impressive for a lens like this. So in a pinch, if you need to do some nice close-ups, say wedding shots, you know, ring shots, table centers, things like that, an event, or, you know, just walking on the trails wanting to shoot close-ups of flowers and stuff, this will do a really good job. Now, because this is a faster f2.8 lens, we do like to test for LoCA, that longitudinal chromatic aberration where you get color fringing in the foreground and background areas that are out of focus and is really hard to remove in post. And LoCA does actually show up here. I mean, you can see here, it's pretty minor. We're getting a little bit of a split, kind of an orange-green kind of split here, but it will show up when you're shooting f2.8. I wouldn't worry about it too much. Stopping down, of course, will get rid of that as well. But if you are shooting something where LoCA is critical, you're going to see a little bit of it here. Okay, let's talk about bokeh next, because a lens like this is absolutely capable of doing very shallow depth of field kind of work. I'm going to do this a little bit backwards from how I normally do it. I'm actually going to start talking about the transitions from in focus to out of focus, which I actually find really quite pleasing on this lens. You can see how where it fades off into the background is actually quite nice. It's soft and it's smooth looking. And with this 105mm telephoto range with that f2.8 aperture, this is going to make an ideal portrait lens for a lot of situations where the eyes are in focus and everything just falls off really nicely. And as long as your backgrounds are clean and don't have a lot of detail, I think that's actually a really pleasant look. Where I have issues with this lens is where it comes to the bokeh when it comes to specular highlights. Now, wide open at f2.8, we're getting a nice little cat's eye effect, not too strong. I don't mind that at all, but when you stop down, you'll notice that the bokeh balls, they're a little bit busy, you know, a bit of a soap bubble effect and kind of busy. And so then when you go to situations where you have more rich backgrounds with a lot of detail, although it's dramatic, I find it's actually kind of frenetic looking, maybe a little bit distracting, as you can see here. And so again, bokeh is subjective. Everybody's gonna have a different opinion, but although I like the look of the softness of the transitions, I do find the out of focus areas to be a little bit harsh, a little bit distracting. So I certainly think that an event photographer is going to really enjoy this for stills, but what about for videography? Well, first off, as we talked about, nice smooth manual focus response. We do have that declickable aperture, but breathing has also been corrected quite well on this lens. At 28mm here, you can see that there's a little bit of lens breathing where that field of view changes slightly as we focus from close to infinity, but at 105, it's very well controlled, almost no breathing to really worry about. Regardless, this is actually a really good result for breathing, and I'm surprised that Sig was able to pull it off on both ends on this lens. But is this lens sharp? Let's take a look at our test charts here and see. So first off, at 28mm, shooting at f2.8, you can see in the centers here, just a touch of softness, but really overall very good detail. Stopping down to f5.6 in the center, you notice the contrast gets a little bit better, a little bit sharper, but I mean, detail is already really good. Looking at the corners here, extreme corners, you get some softness at f2.8. That gets a little bit better stopping down at 5.6, but overall the corners here, wide open, are actually pretty decent for a 28mm range. Now we go to 105, this is actually very impressive. So here now at f2.8 in the centers, at 105, tons of detail. And even when I stop down to f5.6, I don't really notice that much improvement. I mean, maybe a touch of contrast. Overall, it's already really good wide open. You'll also see the corners are quite consistent here. At f2.8, decent sharpness in the corners, a little bit of vignetting, but when we stop down to f5.6, the detail tightens up, that vignetting goes away. And so overall at 105, this lens is very sharp, very consistent across the range. So I think Sigma have done something pretty impressive here with the 28 to 105 f2.8. They've managed to make a lens which is very beautifully made, very well built, but not too heavy, not too bulky, that will give you the versatility to shoot close-ups, to shoot portrait work with shallow depth of field, and be able to cover a lot of different kinds of photography with one lens. Yeah, you're giving up that 24mm wide angle, which most other lenses will give you, and that is certainly something to consider. But I do think that the flare characteristics, the overall sharpness of the lens, these are all going to lend itself well to any sort of situation this comes across. I just wish the bokeh was a little bit nicer looking, especially those backgrounds. But I think a lot of people who are shooting event work, maybe travel photography, or if you just want a lens that can do a lot for walking around during the day on the street, covering many different kinds of focal lengths, but still have that low light capability, you might want to take a really hard look at this lens. I hope you guys enjoyed our little look here at the 28-105. I'm sorry we had to do it from the podcasting room, but I assure you, Jordan's on the mend, and we are going to be out in the field again as usual. Please leave your comments below. Let us know what you think about this, or if you have any questions. Check out the PetaPixel podcast as well. It's right on the same YouTube channel, or you can listen to it on all your favorite podcasting apps. Don't forget to also check out the merch store. Get some t-shirts and hoodies today. Just go to store.petapixel.com and check that stuff out. Thanks so much for joining us, guys. We'll see you soon with more on PetaPixel.